disappointment we felt after the game Saturday. Of course, it's still there. Life has to go on. Don't have a whole lot of answers for why we played that way. But when you don't play the way you think you should, you evaluate the video, which we've done, and you make the necessary corrections that you feel like you need to make. And then you start getting ready for, a Rutgers team that's probably anxious to play us. And that's where we are. Injury-wise, this week we get some players back, which is a good thing. So we need to play a football game. It's kind of simple as that. When you play the way we played this past Saturday, you can't continue on that same path. So you have to make changes. And so we need to shake some things up a little bit and play a lot better. I'll take your question.
Okay, we'll start off with Shannon Ryan, Jeremy Warner on deck, and Alec in the hole. Go ahead, Shannon.
Hi, Lovie. Rayvon Bonner said today he entered the transfer portal, wanted more opportunities elsewhere, but also said he felt like opting out could be held against him by the team or the staff. Do you have any response to that, or what was your message to players who opted out, or to him specifically?
For all of our players, Shannon, that opted out, they had that option to opt out. When there's something, you said though, you said coaches did what now?
He said he felt like he wouldn't be welcomed back.
By who?
Because of opting out.
By me, the head football coach?
He did not say by you.
Well, when you accuse someone of that, I'd like to know the name. If there's somebody that had made Rayvon feel unwelcome. Rayvon opted out like some of our other players did. And Rayvon is in school working on his graduate degree right now. So I don't know exactly what we did that was wrong. I've communicated with Rayvon this week. He went into the transfer portal, I think this past week. I communicated with him, I think maybe yesterday or the day before. So I don't buy that of him. We don't treat our players that way. And when they decide to go somewhere else, they have the option to do that.
Was it made clear that even as a graduate student, or even as a opting out, he'd be back on the team?
This is how this goes, Shannon. Guys, we commit 4 years to every athlete to come to school here, to play football for 4 years with us here and get their degree. After a player becomes a graduate, there isn't a guarantee that he comes back. Graduate athletes have an opportunity to go somewhere else. And so we decide if we want to stay merit after a player has finished his 4 years or his degree. Rayvon has graduated from the University of Illinois, and he's on scholarship at the University of Illinois right now. So I think how we treated Rayvon, I feel real good about how we treated Rayvon and any other athlete that's come through our program. And to insinuate anything else, we have a problem with. And if there's someone in particular, don't say sources, say it. Give me someone in particular that's made someone feel a certain way, and I'll address that.
Well, if you're saying that to me, I didn't say sources. I quoted him as saying he said.
Well, I'm saying go to him and ask him exactly who did what. Who was it? Let me know. Who was it?
Fine to say.
Okay. Well,
okay.
All right. Well, I can't really speak on that.
Right.
Because I don't think that's how we do things around here. I know that's not how we do things around here.
Okay. Thank you for your response.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Lovie. I just wanted to clarify that the players who are in contact tracing, are they all available this week?
Yes, they are, Jeremy. And as you can imagine, we're pretty excited about getting everybody back. Some good football players aren't playing for us right now. And we had that amount of guys. It just is a trickle down effect with just even how you practice. But yes, we get the players back this week.
When are they able to start practice? Are they able to start right away this week, or is that Wednesday? Thursday?
Wednesday, we will get our quarantine players back.
How does that impact being able to prepare them, or what have they been able to do physically the last couple of weeks while they've been in quarantine?
They've been able to work out on their own. The quarantine players have. And we're going to adjust our schedule this week to move things back a little bit. Going to bump everything back really kind of day, if you look at it that way, for us to get our regular work in once those players can actually start practicing with us.
And then just one follow-up. How do you think that's impacted, not having those guys? How much has that impacted you guys the last 2 weeks?
Well, you can imagine there's some good football players that we don't have right now. And I just know that we're a better football team with them, and we can't wait to get them all back.
Thank you, Lovie.
Well,
Okay, Alec, you're up. Scott Beatty on deck. Matt Stevens in the hole.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're having a good day. First question I have is, you spoke a lot about Johnny Newton, I guess, through the first 3 weeks and even into training camp, and he's had a pretty impressive first 3 weeks of the season. What stuck out most to you about his play through the first 3 games?
well, there's a lot when you're a young athlete just coming on campus and just figuring out how to do things, especially, when you played running back in high school and you moved to the defensive line. But I just like his work ethic. He loves football, coachable, just checks off all the boxes. He's a young athlete that's getting better, and he'll get better each week. Each week we see him do more and more good things that we like. And of course, our defensive line, our front seven, and our defense as a whole has to do a whole lot of things better. And he's going to be a part of that revival.
And then in terms of a follow-up, you've spoken a little bit about him playing running back in high school and that transition to defensive tackle. Do you think that that's kind of helped him maybe a little bit at the Big Ten level and kind of understanding how a running back's mind may work in certain situations now that he's on the other side of the ball?
Well, I don't know if it gets, you get that deep into it. I just think that, the athletic ability that you have to play running back, I think helps you when you're down in the pit in a bent knee position. And the explosion and all those things you see out of a running back, I think that helps you as a defensive lineman. Yes.
And then last follow-up that I have, he's just a freshman, but what do you think his ceiling is maybe as a Big Ten player or even a potential NFL player, if you can project that far out, I guess?
I definitely can't project that far out. We're just hoping that we're going to continue to get better play each week from him. And now it's about Rutgers. We want him to play better against Rutgers this week than he played against Minnesota this past.
That's all I got. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Scott Beatty up. Matt Stevens on deck.
Good afternoon, Lovie. When it comes to the quarterback position, if you are able to share or not, but is it clear in your mind right now who your starting quarterback is intended to be on Saturday?
Pretty clear in my mind, absolutely. We'll let it all play out, but yeah, pretty clear.
Okay. Could you share what you've learned about Rutgers and what you know about them?
Well, I know that they open up the season with a big win. Greg Shannon is an outstanding coach. Open up with a big win against Michigan State. Indiana is really playing good football. They played Indiana tough. And Ohio State's possibly the best team in the country. They played them tough, scored almost 30 points against them. And it's a team that we played every year, so we're familiar with the personnel. Whenever you go on the road, of course, it's tough duty. But, we're underdogs again, and I see why, because as much as anything, we're playing Rutgers, but it's about us playing our best ball, and we haven't done that. That's why we're anxious to practice this week and put a better product on the football field this weekend.
And then you mentioned watching the tape. Is sometimes I've heard of coaches when after certain games, they'll just say, let's forget about it. Let's not watch the tape. Let's just wash this from our mind. But is the tape on this past weekend's game instructive for your guys?
Very much so. And we definitely did not move on to the next game. We watched this game in detail, every snap, numerous times. We, staff, players, and all. Now we've moved on, though. Now we're on to Rutgers for sure, but we watched it an awful lot before.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Matt Stevens, Mark Pearson on deck.
Lovie, you said you might change some things up. Can you give any specific details without giving away the game plan, obviously, of what you've changed in practice that you hope will result in a better, give a better result on Saturday?
We haven't practiced yet. We have a plan in mind, but each week if there's something you don't like, you change it up. You have to change. But I mean, sometimes you just continue to do what you've been doing and do it better. But 3 games into the season, it's, that's normally you kind of see exactly what you are, who you are, what you need to do going forward, who you need to really go with. And I think we're at that stage as much as anything. And, we haven't practiced yet this week. We got a week of practice and, watch us play this weekend.
When you put that practice schedule in place, then how much do you kind of, evaluate how much do we change up without maybe giving our guys any kind of sense that we're panicking when we're not, you understand what I'm saying? Like, for young players, it would seem like, oh my God, we're changing everything now. And that would, equal maybe some panic in some younger players.
I don't know. I think we've known each other for a while. I look like the guy that's going to panic. We're not panicking. I don't know where you got to panic. We react to anything bad that we feel like we need to change. We immediately react to it, try to get a plan for that. That's what we're doing right now. We've evaluated the video, things I feel like we need to adjust, change. We're going to do that. There's no panic. We're disappointed in 3 games we played, and we need to play better this 4th game of the football season. There's a lot of football left to go.
Thanks, Lovie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mark Pearson, Joey Wagner on deck, Bob Osmussen in the hole.
Coach, thanks for taking the time. One thing you mentioned after the game was you were going to really look for effort from your guys. What did you see in the tape? Did you like the effort? Did you not like the effort? And maybe what were some players that showed that, some maybe that did not?
Well, okay, when I say effort on how we played, yeah, you won't it's always about us playing hard. And as a coach, you always want the players to play harder. That's just a part of it. But the effort, I can't say that we weren't trying. We just didn't play well. The discipline wasn't there. Just talking defensively, when you get out of your gap, when a team, what a team is going to do, and you get out of your gap and you keep seeing the ball get to the second level, there's something wrong there. I was disappointed in some of those things, some of the penalties that we got. Not being able to move the football on the offensive side of the football. Some of those things, but no, I'm not, our team is going to show up and try. We just need to play smarter football is what I was disappointed in.
And one more for you, Coach. As far as frustration, you've obviously dealt with a lot of adversity throughout your entire coaching career, injuries, all kinds of things, and you've coached for a long time. Is the frustration level maybe a little bit higher because of COVID-19 and the fact of you're losing guys that aren't even injured, but they're just out because of this disease?
No, I mean, it's always different, but, every loss I've been a part of has been hard. And, there are some losses that you take harder than others. The disappointment is a little greater, but this year is no different than that. We've lost 3 games this year, and we don't feel good about it at all. And we know that we can play better football. So we're just really anxious to get this bad taste out of our mouths. And, you're really disappointed when it's the last game of the year. We got a lot of football left to go. We have a great opportunity this week. We're going to take advantage of it.
Thanks for your time, Lovie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joey, Bob, and Nico in that order.
Good afternoon, Lovie. You touched on the gaps there and maybe not being in some of those gaps. And I think you maybe mentioned some missed tackles on Saturday. When you looked at the film, was there one greater than the other? Were there more missed gaps or more missed tackles? Was there anything that stood out there?
It's a combination of both. You see the quarterback at the second, or you see a running back at the second level. Someone is not where they're supposed to be. Kind of simple as that. When it gets to the second level, you got to be able to make the tackle to keep it to a minimum gain. We didn't tackle well, and we weren't disciplined in our gaps. That's when you have games like that, when those things happen, and more than one time.
And you mentioned some of the guys who are out for contact tracing, or even maybe like a Brandon or a Griffin Moore. Have they been able to be in Zoom meetings? I mean, have they had pretty consistent dialogue with the team during these last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can, but they're out for a period of time. It's not like you're going to miss an awful lot. missing a meeting here and there. But our guys, yeah, they haven't really missed anything that's going to really stop them from playing well. And as I mentioned, they've continued to work out on their own. That's the part that hurts as much as anything, when you're not able to practice, when you have those days that you have away from the team that way. But that's all in the past. This week, we get most of our guys back, and we'll be ready to go.
My final thing is, I probably know better than to ask, but you said it's pretty clear in your mind who the starting quarterback should be on Saturday. Do you want to elaborate on who that may be?
I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, I have an idea. When I say it's pretty clear, I have an idea. I mean, we have an idea of who will start at every position. But, I mean, you still go through practice, and you do find things out from going through there. But we just didn't start practicing yesterday. It may seem that way we played this weekend, but we've been practicing for a while. We've had a chance to see all of our players, so we have an idea of who they are. And once you have an entire group together, yeah, we have an idea of how it's going to play out.
Thank you, Lovie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Bob and Nico. Go ahead, Bob.
Coach, when do you get Brandon Peters back in practice?
Soon.
Soon. And would you expect he'd be available for Nebraska, or you do not know that yet?
I'm hoping he will be. He will not be available this week, Bob. I know
Right,
that.
yeah, right.
And of course, we will get him back practicing before he can actually play. Everything is going fine with him. So we do have a date, and at a minimum, the first game he'll be able to play.
Last thing, you've been pretty open about your feelings about the election. How'd you react on Saturday when you found out what had happened?
That was one of the best things that happened this weekend. Not a lot of good things happened, for me personally here, for what we did. But the big picture of what's happening in our world, I supported the Biden-Harris ticket. I'm excited about our new leadership as we go forward, and can't wait to see what the future holds for us.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Nico, you're up. Doug Bouchon on deck.
Coach, midway through last season, things really started to turn around for this program, and coming into this year, expectations were very high. Now facing some adversity early in this season, what are you kind of looking for from the guys to, be able to come back from that 0-3 start?
Well, that's exactly, we're looking for the expectations that we had. I think we had them for a reason. But it's like you're in a game, and you don't start the game off the way you thought you would or you would like. But there's still so much football left to go before you determine the winner. That's how we see it right now. Last year, we were disappointed with the third game of the season. We lost a game. We were very disappointed. Then the next week, we had a 14-point lead late on Nebraska. So we know how to turn it around. And that's what we're looking to, not our expectations before. Where we are right now, there has been disappointment, but the game isn't over. The season isn't over, and we need to play football our best football starting this week, and I think we will.
I know that's an analogy you used last year as well, and we're able to kind of turn things around. Coming into this season, though, is it almost feel like you guys kind of took a step back and now kind of have to take maybe 2 steps forward looking ahead?
No, we never made it there. That's how I'm seeing it. Yeah, there's disappointment, but to me, you say you took a step back after you look at what happened during the season. I mean, you don't judge games based on just how you start. There's disappointment. There are some reasons for the disappointment. The reason why we play a certain way on some of the games. But as we go forward, I just know this is what we know. We're getting our guys back. And sometimes you need to be shocked a little bit too. And when you are really disappointed, you kind of see, step up. And that's what we're hoping to see, not hoping to see. That's what we're going to see this week. Guys are going to step up. We don't like where we are. We don't like the position we're in right now, but there's time to do something about it.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay,
Well,
Doug Bouchon, you're up. Colin Likas on deck. Robert Rosenthal in the hole.
Hi, Coach. Could you talk a little bit more about Greg Schiano and, what kind of coach is he? What do you know about him? And do his teams have a certain personality about him?
Well, I mean, Greg has a history. He's a good football coach. You just look at his first time around at Rutgers. Um, he brought that program, to the brink of, one of the best, the Big Ten or just in college football. And just, I've kind of known Greg, his background as a defensive coach long before that, as we were both kind of coming up through the ranks. Yeah, I think there is a certain personnel. I think, most coaches, their teams have your personality a little bit. And his defensive, what he's done on the defensive side of the football, we kind of see that. It's going to be a disciplined football team. It's going to play hard. We're similar, and anxious to play.
Seems like they've improved their offense, put up 27 points. You mentioned that against Ohio State. What have you seen on film? And what kind of things you got to do as a defense to stop them from scoring?
We talk about all the things that we need to do to make us better. On what they've done, of course, spread option. What's a little different, a lot of, trick plays, but they, keep you guessing. As I said, spreading, the guys out. Have a quarterback, of course, transferred in from Nebraska. That's Smaker's a good leader, knows how to run the offense. I wouldn't say that he's a running quarterback, but he's definitely capable of doing that and just running their offense. Bringing another quarterback, similar to the way Minnesota did last week, which is a little bit. So there's a lot of different flavors offensively that they give you throughout. A couple of transfers that have really made a difference with them too. And as I mentioned earlier, we played this team quite a few times. Seems like every year we play them, so we're pretty familiar with each other.
Just the last thing, defensively, they've given up quite a few points, but they're actually very similar to Illinois in the fact that they're better at stopping the run this year. I think just three yards per carry. What do you guys got to do to get the offensive line back on track and get the running game going on Saturday?
Well, that's, going back, we need to move from the last game, but just a disappointment in that is that, first off, we have a veteran offensive line. They played a lot of football, and we have to be able to run the football. I mean, Mike Epstein was over 100 yards this past week, so we had our moments. We just need to be more consistent with it. And as we said on the defensive side of the ball, it starts up front. Our front seven, just more discipline and just playing harder, being more physical. We know that they're going to run the football, and we got to meet that challenge. And they know that we're going to run the football, and they're going to have to meet it.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Colin up, Robert Rosenthal, Michael, and then Stephen Greenberg. Go ahead.
Thanks, Ken. Lovie, actually, going off of what Doug said, offensive line, I know not having Doug Kramer, obviously, is a hindrance. But for those other guys, what have the conversations been like in the practice room after film sessions about what they can do to improve and what they really need to do in order to get the run game going and just help the offense get going on the line?
Well, it starts up front. So the conversation has been that we're better than this. You start with that. And just acknowledging what has happened. I mean, there's been disappointment. So from there, it's about as you go forward. Doug does come back this week. I mean, Doug Kramer will be practicing Wednesday. He'll play this weekend. That's going to help a lot. One of our captains, our center, we can shuffle guys back and get them in their rightful position. So you start with that. But there has been moments where we've seen signs of getting the running game going, and we'll keep that commitment to it. And hopefully this week you'll see more of who we thought we would be.
And getting Doug back, like you said, gets everybody in the right positions as well. But just can you talk a little more about just how important that is to those other guys? And also, do you feel like the other guys, the stalwarts on the offensive line, maybe benefited from not having Doug around for a couple games, allowed them to maybe grow in any ways?
No, I think you benefit from having your best guys play every snap. And it starts with your center. The guy that makes the calls, that does everything, snaps the ball, all of that. You start with him, and it's different when he's not there. Kendrick Green did a good job there, but Kendrick feels there's a reason why we have Kendrick at guard. So by Doug coming, it settles everyone in. And when you haven't played your best ball, you want to see something you want to see a little bit of a change that's different than what has happened. getting our line back together. This group has played together for a long period of time, so to get everyone in their rightful position should help.
Thanks, Lovie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Robert, Michael, and Steve Greenberg. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I just had a clarification question on your answer to Shannon. So with the opt-outs, guys like Bonner and Dawson DeGroot, since they're both fourth-year players that had never used a red shirt, what you're saying is they get a fourth year academically, they're both on scholarship, they're still there, and then the fifth year, if they chose to come back next year, is kind of at the choice of the coaching staff and a conversation with them. What is the specifics with the opt-out versus, say, another player who you've had for 4 years before?
I'll be specific again with this. After your fourth year, we have a conversation. Are we getting a divorce? Are we staying married? Both parties have to agree with that. Pretty simple to me. Everybody, we have that conversation with any athlete here. They've graduated. You look at some players in the past that have moved on after they've graduated. Once you get to that fourth year, a player can go wherever he likes. And a school should have the same opportunity. So that's what it's like. We haven't gotten to that position with anyone either. I mean, if guys that opt out say, hey, am I for sure coming back next? No, we got to see what next year looks like is what we have to do on both of our ends. And again, every player that's opted out has done that with our blessing.
Okay, so you're saying that the Jake Cerny situation, he played 4 years, decided to get married, move on with life. It's no different for the Rayvon Bonner situation with opting out for COVID, that both are the same. You get through 4 years and then you make a decision.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you brought up Jake. That's exactly what happened with Jake. Patrick Nelson chose to go to SMU after that. But these guys all are leaving with their degree from the University of Illinois. I think that's fair on both ends.
And so there's no difference with a COVID opt-out of saying, okay, well, he just didn't want to be there because of COVID. He didn't technically have a fourth year on the field, and so maybe this guy comes back. It's the same conversation as it's always been, is what you're saying.
It's the same conversation, but there's nothing guaranteed for tomorrow. And we could have a totally different football team for it. So we hadn't gotten into that. We're just getting through this year right now, 2020, the rules that we have in place. If you feel safe here in a safe environment to play on the football team, we want you here, everyone that wants to be. And if you don't, you can opt out. All those guys are still on scholarship around somewhere doing their thing. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, Michael, and then Steve Greenberg to wrap things up. You're on mute, Michael. All right. While you're figuring. Oh, there you are.
I'm sorry about that, guys. Coach, sorry, real quick. Alex Pihlstrom, if you could talk about his journey. I'm sorry I wasn't on the call last week, but if you could talk about his journey from walk-on tight end to starting O-lineman, and then where he is going to be going forward with some of these other guys getting back.
Oh, Coach, you're on mute.
I am. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Talking about Alex's journey. Everyone that come to a program on scholarship, some that aren't given a scholarship initially decide to walk on and earn a scholarship. Alex came here, loved the University of Illinois, had a history with us, family-wise, but felt like he could come here and earn a scholarship. And he went to work with that right away. Initially, when a player gets here, most young guys on the scout team first, where if you're a defensive player, you go against the number one offense. Offensive player, you go against the number one defense, and we get a chance to see them. I had a chance to personally see Alex quite a bit. As a tight end first, came to work, worked hard every day. And not just came to work or came to practice, but did a good job. So you have an idea of guys that eventually will earn a scholarship. You start getting stronger, bigger. And So that's kind of how it turned out. Initially, he was on special teams for us, so kind of showed some of his athletic ability then. And when he got a chance to start getting some time on the offensive line, he showed, Coach McLean something. We liked it. And then injuries kind of, if you deserve to play, I think you always get an opportunity to do eventually. And he got his chance and did a good job. And we didn't give him a scholarship. He earned that scholarship. And as we go forward, he's in the mix. Before Doug, of course, Doug Kramer is our starting center, and we'll, odds are we may, of course, get our line back to how we initially started the football season, but we'll see once we get guys back.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll wrap up with Steve Greenberg. Go ahead, Steve.
Good afternoon, Lovie. This is maybe a little bit of a heavy way to end it after half an hour, but you're not going to panic. That's understood. But there's a pretty clear danger of the season kind of getting away. How demanding, how stressful is this moment for you and for the program? And you feel like you're at a crossroads here. It could really break either way.
We're a few things you said. We're disappointed. We've lost 3 games. We realize how many games we have left to go in the season. But we're optimistic about our future too. We know we're a better football team, and we get a chance to prove that. So as far as the stress, there's disappointment when you don't play your best football. That's where we are. As we look at what's going to happen in the future, I can't wait to see our football team together. Because right now there was a lot of optimism going in. We haven't been together as a group this entire year. Eventually we will be. So that's what we're excited about. And this week we get reinforcements coming back, should make us better. And we expect to play better on the football field. There's no more than that.
And so a quick follow-up, given, the realities that you've dealt with, things like having, being deep in the depth chart at quarterback and elsewhere. How would you expect your record, whether or not this is, of utmost importance to you, how would you expect your record and the scores to be received and interpreted by the public?
Oh, to me, it's pretty simple. Nobody wants to hear about who we don't have, anything like that. We expect to play better. We need to play better. And I expect our record to say that we're going to play better when we have our best guys on the football field, but we're not. This is kind of reality and what's happened with us. And I think once we get all of our guys together, we are going to, you're going to see a different ball club there starting this week. Past 3 disappointing losses. We expect them to play a lot better this week. Simple as that.